have never seen a home like this that was completely ripped off the foundation and just flipped.
We're getting incredible pictures from Sky 5 this morning.
News Channel 5 is committed to keeping you safe, informed, and connected.
Nashville is on the clock.
An estimated 200,000 people.
How often does the draft come to your hometown?
Scary.
Safe through early warnings of tornadoes and floods.
Water that continues to climb right here.
And the unpredictability when the earth begins to move.
Pieces of rock are falling onto the highway here.
Safe when there's danger at your door.
A very scary situation.
Homeowners are actually being told to shelter in place.
The manhunt will affect children.
If you live in the Westmoreland area, keep your doors locked.
He is a person of interest connected to 5 homicides.
Robinson says Cummins came over with bloodstains on his shirt and
I know something was wrong.
Informed by being your witness.
The warden said, quote, "Mr. Zagorski, do you have any last words at this time?" And that's when Mr. Zagorski said, "Let's rock."
Raise your hands if you think it's worse.
Connected through eye-opening News Channel 5 investigations.
I had a student that actually threatened to kill me.
Did you drop the ball?
I did not drop the ball. I appreciate it, though.
How confident are you this is a complete list? I feel that it's as confident as I can be.
Speaker, can we talk to you about...
I'm late for a meeting.
You have some of the most powerful people in this state who are willing to manipulate paperwork to take your freedom away.
Do you think that black people are idiots?
Speaker, what did you tell the caucus? Did you resign?
Connected through helping our neighbors.
How do you live a normal life knowing you owe all this money?
I don't.
It's hard to comprehend that somebody would care about me.
News Channel 5. Safe, informed, connected.
Now with breaking news, this is News Channel 5 at 6. Good evening. Breaking news as our Storm 5 alert continues with flooding concerns across Middle Tennessee.
As you see, we have team coverage for you of all this rain.
Widespread, another 1 to 3 inches is expected between now and this time tomorrow. And we've already been hard hit today. So take a look. This is a look at future rainfall expected. As I mentioned, 1 to 3 inches.
Yeah, the call came in around 5:15 that a car and 2 individuals were stuck here and stranded in submerging waters. Now, emergency officials tell us that the 2 men who were driving in the car, they bypassed road signs that said road closed.
And all here, again, working and putting our lives at risk because of someone's poor judgment.
Problem is getting down to the boat launch, but today the Harpeth running well over its banks, flooding over onto the road right now, and we still have some light rain falling out here.
We do not believe that anyone was injured around 2 o'clock this morning when this incredible piece of earth just gave way. I am guessing that this mudslide is at least a football field in length. What has basically happened here is that we have had so much rain over the course of the last week or so that the earth and the mud here just were really no match for the water. And so there was just an incredible rapid erosion of the soil on this steep slope, and it just gave way.
Behind me, you can see the water rushing from Mill Creek over the bridge, and this is just one of many similar scenes across Davidson County. A lot of the logs I can see are getting caught in between this bridge, and as we move down a little bit, you can see just the debris that has been piling up all throughout the day.
The rain here in Overton County has refused to stop. It's pushing small rivers and ponds out of their banks, creating major problems for business owners here.
I've never seen it this bad.
Not much was where it belonged in Livingston, Tennessee today. Not the road signs, and certainly not the water that invaded Tamara Crowder's building.
This is the first time I've actually been in.
Until Monday, this space was home to a small church. And until Tuesday, this space was home to a daycare, where the name has now become painfully ironic to Tamara Crowder.
We'll have to cut all the sheetrock to where the water is.
The rain in Overton County refuses to quit. It is cold, it is relentless, and it has pushed Dillon Pond out of its banks, forcing officials here to shut down sections of Highway 111.
We haven't seen this much rain in a long time, but we would have never expected this much flooding because we're not in a flood zone.
This is the worst we've ever seen it.
Late Thursday, officials also declared a state of emergency. The concern is that the water will just keep rising over the weekend.
It hasn't gone down, and they're forecasting 4 more inches, so we expect it'll probably be 8 or 12 inches in the building before it recedes.
As for Tamara Crowder, she just hopes that the water retreats back to where it belongs.
We're ready for the sunshine.
Tonight, Tennessee House Speaker Glenn Cassidy's office confirms the authenticity of text messages in which his chief of staff brags about his use of illegal drugs.
Included is a text where Cade Cothran brags about snorting cocaine inside his legislative office. And now we've also uncovered other texts where both men speak of women in vulgar terms.
The motion to reconsider is tabled.
On Thursday, it was business as usual on the floor of the Tennessee House of Representatives, just hours after News Channel 5 Investigates revealed the existence of racist text messages sent by the House Speaker's Chief of Staff, Cade Cothran.
My Chief of Staff is up here. He's up here working. He did nothing wrong.
Among Cothran's text messages, there was this 2015 text, "Black people are idiots." In another, he insisted on using thug N-word to describe Tampa Bay quarterback Jameis Winston. And in a 2016 exchange with Cassidy himself, Cothran responded with this black people meme, apparently referring to a West Tennessee district. The House Speaker claimed he never got such a text.
Again, it kind of verifies in my mind there's something not right about that story.
It was a theme Cassidy continued on talk radio.
In this environment that we live in, because we as conservatives are winning the intellectual battle, I'm convinced some liberal guy living with his mom and dad in their basement created this to frame my chief of staff.
But the text messages also included this selfie that Cothran had taken at 2:15 a.m. during a trip to Colorado. He texted, "Tripping balls out of my mind at 2:15. Craziest experience of my entire life. Acid, cocaine, weed." He also shared this video from a concert at the Red Rocks Amphitheater and this wild scene from a party bus. After a 2015 trip to the Dominican Republic, Cothran also texted, "Just did a gram of cocaine in my office." It was sent at 10:38 a.m. on a work day.
You refer to Jameis Winston as a thug. How can you justify that?
After ignoring our previous questions about his racist text messages, Cothran responded this time with a written statement. Regarding the texts in question, I readily admit that I sent some of them. While I'm not proud of who I was in the past, I am proud that with God's grace and a strong support system, I've been able to achieve so much in the years since. Also obtained other text messages in which Cothran solicited sexual favors from legislative interns and suggested sex with a female lobbyist who was older than him. "I want you to be my first older woman," he texted. In one case in 2016, Cothran texted this pic of a female friend pole dancing to Cassidy. The House Speaker responded, "Nice pics." Cothran, "Hands to yourself." The Speaker, "Can I just touch?" Cothran, "LOL, okay, maybe just once." The Speaker, LOL.
If you give your money to your favorite politicians, do you expect them to use that money to party with their friends?
Tonight, a News Channel 5 investigation has discovered that's exactly what House Speaker Glenn Cassidy may have done with his donors' money.
Cassidy's Political Action Committee, CASPAC, reported an expenditure to the restaurant of $180. So what was the political purpose of that charge? Cassidy would not give us an answer to that question.
How can you defend that?
The latest revelation comes amid the ongoing text message scandal involving Cassidy and Cothran, part of which involved an August 2016 incident here at Party Foul, a restaurant and bar right on the edge of downtown. In one exchange, Cothran texted Cassidy boasting about having sex with a woman in the bathroom at Party Foul. "I knew it," Cassidy responded, asking, "Are you a Minuteman?" "Like father, like son," said the aide. The response, "If I'm happy, then all is good."
They were wrong, and I was wrong, but I've asked for forgiveness and received forgiveness.
As the event ended, Speaker Cassidy did his best to get away until we caught up with him.
Did you bribe anyone for votes for the SA vote?
Oh, that's ridiculous.
What do you mean ridiculous?
Here's a question. Did you bribe anyone for the House vote?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
He denied offering lawmakers improper incentive for votes on the school voucher bill.
You have to leave.
Then he tried to get away inside the now closed Legislative Plaza.
And why did you try to blame Channel 5 for the text messages that you sent?
Channel 5 is saying something that's not true.
This is News Channel 5 at 4.
One and done. Glenn Cassidy announces his resignation from the job after weeks of turmoil and scandal.
All of it, of course, first uncovered by News Channel 5 Investigates. Today, Governor Lee tweeted, quote, Speaker Cassada has made the right decision, and I look forward to working with the legislature to get back to conducting the people's business and focusing on the issues that matter most to our state.
From the News Channel 5 network, this is a special presentation.
It's the devil. It's horrible.
Opiates took me to other places, you know.
It's just like cocaine without the come down.
Users are almost running to the fire as opposed to running away from the fire.
I've done things I'm not proud of.
To be brutally honest, I sold my kids things to get it.
So in 7th grade, he started on the opiates.
We're having mass casualty events in this country every day as it relates to the opioid crisis.
The damage I've done, I don't know if I could ever really just fix it.
If you are a drug user, you need to stop and get help.
I'm ready. Nervous, but I'm ready.
Don't give up.
It's not just a problem, it's a crisis.
Opioid abuse continues its strong grip on communities, destroying families across Tennessee.
If you think you know who it affects, think again. It can be your teacher, police officer, or even your pastor.
More people died of overdoses in the state last year than ever before, and nearly 1,300 of the overdoses in 2017 were linked to opioids.
It's now a topic for candidates running for office, but despite political feuds, there's still the never-ending battle to stop it. Here's Matthew Torres.
But you're so absorbed in the pain that the other person is going through that your entire day is just done for.
It knows no gender,
Like when you are in recovery, your family's in recovery.
no race,
But healing is possible in time.
and no socioeconomic status.
Caring, concern, and love.
In the walls of this room,
You do look a bit frustrated, and I can definitely see how the situation can cause you to think the way you think.
there's no such thing as boundaries.
I was a dead woman walking.
Addiction judges no one.
I was a functioning addict, very well. I ran a business. I was a successful businesswoman, sales manager. As my addiction got worse, my business went under within 2 years.
Andrea Kirshner is at the intersection of her life where desperation and hope meet.
Will I get my family back? I hope. But I have to show them I am serious this time. And I am, because I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
The individual cell within this, with this tornado warning, it's moving at 50 miles per hour. It is howling fast. So that means it's going to be on top of Interstate 65 in 5 to 7 minutes.
Deadly and devastating. And we have team coverage this morning across the areas affected.
We're going to check in with our crews on the ground and in the air.
Now getting of this home that looks like it was completely torn off of its foundation. We know one fatality here. We're circling around it now to get that first image of this in the daylight. It is likely now that the sun is starting to come up that we will see more damage in this area. And keep in mind, emergency officials do not want you to get out. In fact, they are blocking several of these roadways. So don't get out of your house and try to see the damage for yourself, because it's likely that we will see even more now that they are able to get a better picture there. So this is that first look of that home. It looks like it was completely ripped off the foundation.
Now, driving throughout the area, some areas are untouched. Others had whole entire third floors torn off, and all the trees on their property were just chopped in half.
We're sitting in there, sitting on the floor, and then all of a sudden it's like a big roar, and all of a sudden I hear metal being ripped off the house.
Looking at the debris of his house, John Erdman said he's lucky no one in his family was hurt last night.
I stayed pretty much on this side, this side of the house.
He was looking at the radar, knowing there was a tornado warning, when he saw rotation and knew he had to get his son and wife to a safe place.
And so I had to kind of wake her up. She was sound asleep. Son had, he was ready, settled in bed, and he's going, Dad, I'm just about ready to fall asleep. And I finally got him down. We got him to, in the bathroom, and next thing you know, the roof's coming off.
John said he only had about a minute to get to the downstairs bathroom, and after a short time, everything went silent.
And a tornado tore through the area and flipped this home onto its roof. It killed 41-year-old Angie Walker, a woman that friends described as the light of the community.
It's horrendous. It's unbelievable that how something like a storm could cause that amount of destruction.
That destruction centered here on Midland Road in Christiana. Officials say just after midnight, a tornado flipped this home, killing the 41-year-old mother.
Something that won't ever leave your mind, for sure.
Shara Shotwell was friends with Walker for more than a decade.
Angie has been a friend for about 12 years.
This morning, she woke up to the tragic news.
It just is so surreal. You hear it all the time on the news, and it just, you never think that it's going to happen to you or somebody that you love.
Walker was an adjunct professor at MTSU who loved her community and her family.
It is miserable out here.
When the city reflects back upon itself, do we always like what we see? Do we even notice? Do we even care?
It has been completely rainy.
To walk even a half mile in the shoes of Sierra Christopher is to truly understand the depths at which we've pushed our homeless population to.
We're like trapped in our tent, like it's daily living, like even so much harder.
She hasn't seen the sun in days, hasn't been able to at least dry her feet, and then last night.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of tarps, but it did no justice.
Somehow, this 26-year-old who became homeless after leaving an abusive relationship has even less than she did when she went to bed.
I barely had anything as it is, but now I'm back to zero again. I mean, all my blankets, clothes, everything is gone.
As the rain fell last night, the water at this tent city rose and rose.
Once I woke up this morning, I was just in saturated water. I woke up, I was like this much water. Everything, like you just touch my blankets in there and it's just a puddle. Everything, I lost everything, gone.
Sierra is hardly alone in her struggle.
I haven't seen the water this high since the 2010 flood.
Lindsay Krinks with Open Table Nashville spent the day checking on flooded homeless camps.
We're really worried about this, obviously.
Her biggest concern is that there's more rain in the forecast.
We're even worried that more damage will be done and more folks will lose everything they have.
But those stuck beneath the depths of society will tell you the rain isn't the only problem here.
We don't need another high-end hotel or another $12,000 a month condo like 505. We need housing that people like us can afford. And it's a crisis right now because, as you see, it's just more and more people by the minute that are just out here.
When the city looks back upon itself, this is what most people never see.
Got to start over.
If you want to know what's really going on inside Metro schools, ask a teacher.
Help me understand what you're experiencing every day.
Chaos.
These teachers risk their jobs to speak with News Channel 5 Investigates.
I don't feel like we get the support that we have asked and begged for.
A student threatened to kill you, and there were no consequences.
That's actually happened twice.
From the News Channel 5 network, this is a special presentation, Teacher Town Hall.
Good evening. I'm News Channel 5 Chief Investigative Reporter Phil Williams. For months, Metro Nashville Public Schools have been rocked by one controversy after another. A sexual harassment scandal, questionable spending, and infighting on the school board. And a law firm hired by the district just warned Metro Schools is now facing a morale crisis. So what does that mean for the 86,000 children that the district is supposed to serve? We decided to ask the teachers.
Someone has to say.
On a rainy Saturday afternoon,
Hi, I'm Phil.
Hi, I'm Shanita.
They came together.
I'm hearing hurt, I'm hearing pain from the teachers because we want what's best for children.
14 Metro Schools educators representing hundreds of years of combined experience.
For me, the morale comes down to feeling like you can never be good enough. You know, just never good enough.
To talk about the state of Metro Schools.
This is not a secret. Everybody knows what's happening in the district, and no one's doing anything about it.
And about the emotional pain that's now become another part of their jobs.
We're here for the kids.
And you feel like the district is letting them down?
I'm feeling letting the kids down. I don't feel like we get the support that we have asked and begged for on so many different levels.
How many of you just got fed up with the district and left? how many of you have thought about doing the same thing? And why is that? Why have you thought about leaving?
I think for me, it has been watching my students. I had the privilege of moving up with them, so I've had these same students for 2 years now. And just in the last year, to see the growth kind of stop, because many of the resources I had in place last year, I don't. From curriculum to just the scheduling of things, from master schedule to being able to access certain curriculums, all of that has gone away or changed, so to speak. And so for me, it's very disheartening to see these students who have so much potential and deserve so much more.
So you have seen the same students falling behind.
Yes.
Because you don't have the resources you need.
Correct.
And what happened to those resources?
Many of them, again, messages are, we're no longer funding this program, we're no longer providing this. The district had to do away with that. I mean, it's a variety of answers that we've heard over the year. But for the most part, it seems to be, at least what I have experienced, a shift in where the money goes, and it's away from the students.
So there were resources that you thought were working, and those were taken away.
Mm-hmm.
I see other people nodding their heads.
I was going to say, for example, one creative solution that many teachers have used is the program Donors Choose in order to get resources. I've used it for my classroom to get novel sets that I was not able to afford, and my students' families aren't able to afford those simple needs for the classroom. And now we're being told you're not allowed to use that.
Tennesseans drowning in medical debt. Thousands of people on the verge of bankruptcy. Some losing their homes or foregoing doctor visits just because they can't pay those medical bills.
Tonight, News Channel 5 begins a new community initiative, Medical Debt Rescue. We'll be wiping away some of your medical debt with one yellow envelope. Chris Conti begins this ongoing series.
Yes, sir. This is God country.
The road for Gary Brown has been paved with anything but simplicity.
There's no two same brain injuries in the world.
Each step, each movement, every walk down his street is a reminder to Gary Brown of how long this road has been.
So as I'm talking to you, I'm concentrating on my balance.
It never used to be like this. Not until one day in 2016, when Gary Brown's path took an unexpected turn.
This is what they cut off of me, and that's what's left of it.
The 48-year-old was on his motorcycle in Bedford County when he went off the road. 6 months into his recovery, Gary lost his job, and then he lost his insurance.
You're living your life like you're living, and then the carpet gets yanked out from under you, and what do?
With no health coverage, Gary became one of the 72 million Americans now carrying medical debt. He estimates he owes about $500,000 right now.
And it mentally drained me to the point I was so depressed, I was ready to take a gun, just blow my head off. Why didn't I die right there on that road that day?
There is a lien on Gary's home, and Gary has realized he has no one to lean on. How do you live a normal life knowing you owe all this money?
I don't.
Starting today, people will start getting these yellow envelopes. If you get one, contact me immediately. It means some or all of your debt has been paid off. Here's my information. We'll have it on our website and on our Facebook page. Guys, again, if you get one of these yellow envelopes, do not throw it away. It means that some of your debt may have been taken care of. And guys, there are a number of factors at play here. The first of which is that hospitals simply want to make money off of any of your debt, which is why a lot of your bills are being sent to collection agencies. That's where things get interesting, though. While you may owe $10,000 for a trip to the ER, what you may not know is that debt-buying agencies are trading and selling all of that debt in an effort to make money, almost like the stock market, except the consumer always comes out behind. Across the United States, there are 327 million people. Statistically, this year alone in America, thousands of us will be forced into bankruptcy simply because of medical debt. Medical bankruptcy occurs roughly every 30 seconds in America. The problem in Tennessee is no different. Nearly 1 in every 3 Tennesseans has outstanding medical debt. Surprisingly, medical debt is more common among those who have insurance than those who don't. And in most cases, Tennesseans aren't drowning in debt from massive medical bills. Instead, the median amount of medical debt is right around $207. Here's where things get interesting, though. After a few years, most hospitals start selling your debt to a collection agency. That debt gets sold again and again for pennies on the dollar. Eventually, it's almost worthless. So much so that News Channel 5 donated $15,000 to the group RIP Medical Debt. They have taken that money and purchased debt with it. The ratio is so lopsided that our $15,000 donation paid off $1.8 million in debt for people like you across Middle Tennessee. 600 of you, to be exact. Here's where you should pay attention. In the next week, you might be getting a yellow envelope like this one in the mail. Don't throw it away. Save it. It's proof that your medical bills have been paid off. If she could, Yvonne Davis would likely get rid of her mailbox.
And that's only part of it.
The bills never stop, never let up.
I have a mountain of medical bills.
Never give this 59-year-old grandmother from East Nashville a moment to catch her breath.
As long as I'm paying medical bills, I can't get ahead on anything else. It's hard. Come on in.
She suffers from congestive heart failure, needs oxygen most days to get by. Imagine then the breath of fresh air she got over the weekend when Yvonne went to her mailbox and found this yellow envelope.
And I said it would never happen to me. That's too good to be true.
Inside was a letter from the nonprofit RIP Medical Debt. The letter informed Yvonne that because of a donation from News Channel 5, a small portion of her bills were taken care of.
I saw a yellow envelope and I said, no. And then I pulled it out and it was from Channel 5, and you could have knocked me over with a feather. $939.
Yvonne still has nearly 20 grand in medical bills. That is the reality of her situation and millions of other Americans too.
You can just try and try. It's for somebody like me who has a lot of medical issues. I'm always going to have medical bills.
But this yellow envelope was at least a small glimmer of hope. What does that mean to you, to have that bill gone?
It means that I have the opportunity to concentrate on another one.
I mean, it's history here, and they're not looking at the history. All they're looking at is coming in making a quick buck.
I lost maybe 20 people in my congregation because they had to move to Clarksville to afford the property.
I hope we don't have to end up in the projects. That's the main thing. That's what only thing got me worried.
Change has come to this neighborhood.
Down the street, there are two houses, one $999,000, one is over $1 million, one got elevators in both of them.
Development is driving up property taxes and the cost of living.
They fixing it where we cannot even stay in our community. I think they're pushing us on the outskirts of town.
Campbell's family has been here since the 1960s.
It really hurts me deeply that something that you've been having for years, that they're trying to force you out of your own home.
Belinda works from 7 at night to 7 in the morning as a caretaker. Then she feeds the neighborhood kids at her son's church camp.
I remember he blocked the street off and had a function for the kids, and the new people that moved in here, they called the police on him. Even though he had the permit to do it, but they called twice, and when the police come and said, listen, he has a permit.
Out on Monroe Street, the sound of kids playing is overpowered by new home construction.
But I don't think it can stay like this, because there are too many poor people. Yes, they're going to push us on off in the river.
I do feel like that they're pushing a lot of people out of the community, and those that are renting, the people that renting from is selling for little or nothing. That's hard on a family. Glory, glory, hallelujah.
From camp to church, this family has found a way to bind a community together. But now they're not sure if they will survive.
A lot of my congregants have moved from here and been pushed to Clarksville, and that has affected our church, you know.
Down the street, 85-year-old Eileen Lyles was told her lease will not be renewed.
They didn't even give her a notice. We happened to find out, somebody went out there and Googled and found out that the apartments were sold.
Never had nothing been sold up under me in my life.
And she got maybe a couple of months, she got to be gone.
Back to that breaking news overnight, a confirmed sighting of an accused killer on the run. It has been 7 days now since Kirby Wallace was put on the TBI's most wanted list.
A full week now, and police are saying he is desperate and he is dangerous. Wallace is accused in a number of violent crimes in the Montgomery-Stewart County area, including first-degree murder.
Now, Wallace allegedly broke into Suzanne Holyfield's home on Liberty Parkway around 11:30 in the morning on May 2nd. Police say he tied her to the bed with ropes, cords, and duct tape. He then allegedly stole her credit card, threatened her life if she gave him the wrong PIN number, then stole electronics from her home.
Crazy.
The extraordinary measures
Just pulling right here.
Police undertook this afternoon in Montgomery County.
It's been going on since around noon this morning.
They're escorting us in one by one. Officers will take you home, check your house, make sure everything's okay.
Matched the extraordinary threat police say Kirby Wallace posed to these neighbors.
This morning we woke up to helicopters over the house and SWAT next door. So it's been hectic.
An accused double murderer believed to be on foot in the Cumberland City Road area.
It might be a while.
Police said Wallace was a suspect so dangerous, he warranted a search so thorough.
Police have been out here stopping cars, checking cars.
And as neighbors go to sleep tonight without Wallace in handcuffs, they say they're ready.
I'm not going to hesitate. No, I will not hesitate.
To take extraordinary measures of their own.
He comes in this house, he's dead. Bottom line.
I think he knows his life's over and that there's only one way out. And he ain't, I just think he's desperate.
The result of an accused killer on the run and a community.
If he don't kill me, he's dead.
The week-long manhunt for Kirby Wallace is over.
We are very fortunate that we didn't wind up in a shootout.
A mid-state sheriff and corporal climbed deer stands and spotted the accused killer.
He just thought that we had the drop on him.
It brings a sigh of relief for residents who spent the last 7 days in fear.
Now with breaking news, this is News Channel 5 at 6. Good evening. After a week-long search, accused murderer Kirby Wallace is in custody tonight.
He was found in a wooded area in Stewart County by the Henry County Sheriff and his men.
Sky 5 was flying overhead this afternoon as officials escorted Wallace into the Stewart County Jail.
They say this place has it. Music, culture, a good time, and yes, football.
Touchdown, Titans!
Now, this one-of-a-kind city rolls out the red carpet for 32 teams trying to find the next big thing. They come for franchise quarterbacks, elite edge rushers, and shut-down cornerbacks. They come for it. That missing piece to a team. The chance to build something lasting, like the songs that echo off the neon signs of Broadway. Many careers have been launched here.
Baker Mayfield. Wow. Jared Goff. Saquon Barkley.
This weekend, a new group of stars will be born, with limitless potential and a hope for a better tomorrow. The NFL Draft has come to Nashville. Let the party begin. From the News Channel 5 Network, this is a special presentation. NFL Draft, live from Music City. Sponsored by your local Toyota dealers.
Nashville is on the clock. Months of planning, preparation, and hype all collide with this moment and a party unlike anything Music City has ever seen. The NFL kicks off at the top of the hour live on Lower Broadway, but we are high above the fray here on the rooftop of Nudi's Honky Tonk. This is the NFL Draft live from Music City, sponsored by your local Toyota dealers. Steve Lehman along with television, Sean Burton and JB. They're hoping that this will be the biggest and best draft of all time, and judging by the crowd and the buzz, they're off to a good start.
Yeah, and Steve, not even the threat of rain can keep all these football diehards from attending the first ever draft held in the South. And no one's more excited than the 22 prospects that are here in town. They all hope to hear their names called in the first round tonight.
We're right in the middle of those big crowds. And these fans have been out here all day having a good time celebrating the NFL Draft. And I talked to some of the businesses that are on Broadway that are seeing these fans. They say they've never seen anything quite like this before.
Just take a walk through downtown Nashville.
and you'll be able to hear how fans feel about the NFL Draft Weekend. But what's it been like for Broadway businesses?
You might have to edit it, but I'm going to get my handed to me.
For years, Walter Vaughn has been slinging hot dogs at 4th and Broadway. He was expecting a busy weekend, but this?
The other night, I didn't stop for like 6 hours. We usually do maybe 1,000 a night. Like I said, he done like 1,700 last night. It's I love it, but it's crazy.
It's kind of home. It feels like home.
A final gust of an autumn wind whips through the few pieces of corn left standing on Paul Hamilton's farm. Naked, wilted stalks soon to be gone, and so too will Paul Hamilton's prized herd of dairy cow.
You know every cow by the way they act.
He hasn't taken a vacation day in 4 years.
It's once a day I put out 2 bales.
There's no way he could. Yet Paul loves this land, loves these cows.
When you do it for 29 and a half years, you know, you kind of get to where it's part of you.
But like the 1971 John Deere tractor he keeps riding,
you can see I don't have fancy equipment, it's old.
Paul's farming career is about to be beyond repair.
It's hard, real hard.
This 53-year-old is carrying a burden far heavier than the hay bales he uses to feed the cows here.
I say they just keep taking more and more away from me. Well, you can't afford to stay in.
Paul once dreamed of selling these 80 acres to his son John.
Come on, heifers.
The high school junior does his best to help his dad. Farming, though, just isn't in his blood.
I wouldn't want to do it every day for 365 days a year. It's a lot of work.
And even if John wanted to, his father refuses to let his son follow the same financially uncertain path.
Because it's not a living anymore. Yeah, you know, you work and you make no living.
And last month, the Hamilton family made negative $1,500.
We're hemorrhaging money at this point. It's just, we can't keep going like that.
Paula Hamilton doesn't see a way they can survive past the end of this year. Hundreds of dairy farms have shut down nationwide since the start of 2018.
The next years don't even look any better either, so.
It's kind of sad.
It is not just about the money, though. There is something much deeper, much darker, much deadlier gripping America's farms right now.
You've got people that have multi-generations, and then they're the generation that goes out, and there's guilt that goes along with that. There's hurt. There's, you know, why? What did I do wrong?
We can't romanticize farming anymore. It's a tough occupation.
As a nurse and professor at the University of Kentucky, Dr. Debbie Reed has spent 3 decades studying rural health problems. What worries her the most right now? A spike in suicide among farmers.
Farmers are 4 times more likely than military veterans to commit suicide.
In 2014, 21 Kentucky farmers saw their situation as so dire they chose to take their own life. In 2015, 15 farmers in the Bluegrass State committed suicide. Our analysis of numbers from UK going back to 2005 shows that 142 farmers have died by suicide, a staggering statistic, silently taking this country's hardest working men and women.
When are the people going to realize that the farmers are struggling out here, you know? I don't know.
Facing financial and emotional ruin, Paul is battling severe depression.
They've taken a real toll on him the last couple of years. He's aged probably 10 years in the last couple of years. And that's been hard to watch.
The solitude of this occupation that so many love has left so many feeling so alone.
You know, you feel like you're connected to the land and you have to take care of the land, but the land's killing you.
It's in the quiet moments when no one is around that the enormity and gravity and reality hits Paula.
Because you always try to, what is it, stiff upper lip or whatever it is. And, you know, sometimes when it's when you're by yourself and it's at night and you're looking at everything, you're thinking, God. So, and then you think, okay, how can I do it where he still get the insurance money? And then you think, I don't need to be thinking this way.
Hi, Cal.
She is talking about her deepest, darkest fears in hopes that maybe another farmer out there will hear her.
No one's telling the farmers about it. No one's saying, hey, there's other people that feel like you feel, and it's okay to feel like you feel. A lot of times you just feel like you're in this by yourself. Every time you get a bowl of cereal, you pour out a thing of milk, you should wonder, how much is that farmer getting?
It's just not a good business to have anymore. Unless you're just a massive dairy, it's not a good business to have.
But even with everything they are facing, the Hamiltons aren't ready to give up until they've exhausted every option, because right now their family's legacy is all they have left.
You always have the hope, but it'll get better the next year.
With photojournalist Bud Nelson, Chris Conti, News Channel 5.
Good evening. The Catholic Diocese of Nashville is confronting a dark chapter of its past.
Late this afternoon, the diocese released a list of more than a dozen priests accused of sexually abusing children, some dating back to the 1950s.
Investigative reporter Ben Hall sat down with the bishop that ordered the release to find out why they decided to do it after all these years. Ben.
Well, the diocese names 13 priests, none of whom are currently practicing. It comes as other states are investigating allegations that church leaders spent decades covering up abuse.
We want it all out there right now. Let's see this. Let's be accountable for this.
Bishop J. Mark Spalding has led the Nashville Diocese for less than a year. But after a recent grand jury report in Pennsylvania detailed how church leaders there covered up sexual abuse by priests dating back decades, he decided Nashville should be open about what has happened here.
I felt that publishing the names is one of those key, if not most important steps we can do right now. Will there be other steps in the future? I believe so.
The diocese published the 13 names of accused priests dating back to 1952 in its newspaper, The Register. 9 of the priests are now dead. 2 others are in prison. And the other 2 were long ago removed from the priesthood.
How confident are you this is a complete list?
I feel that it's as confident as I can be.
On the list is former priest and principal at Father Ryan High School, Ronald W. Dickman. It is the first time the diocese has said he was credibly accused of abusing children. He ran the prestigious school for 10 years before resigning in 1987. The diocese forced him out of the priesthood in 1991. At the time, it said his misconduct only involved an adult, despite reports about abusing students. Dickman is still alive and has not been charged with a crime. He has denied abusing students. It also appears to be the first time the diocese acknowledged accusations of child abuse against James William Murphy. When he died in 2016, the Memphis Diocese said in his obituary that he was the oldest priest in Tennessee. Despite public complaints about abusing boys, he was never charged or removed from the priesthood. The Nashville Diocese admits to spending $6.5 million for counseling and pastoral assistance to abuse victims since 2002. That includes more than $1 million to settle lawsuits. Insurance helped cover that amount. The list also includes priests who were already prosecuted for abuse, like Edward McCowan. He pleaded guilty to raping and fondling a 12-year-old boy in 1999. But prosecutors say he abused at least 30 other children here in Nashville.
In an instant, I became the worst mother in the world. And I know people say you're not supposed to, but there's no way to keep from thinking, why didn't I protect my child?
Donna Harper's son was one that McCowan abused.
I really would like for him to apologize to my son.
Harper says McCowan had been accused of abuse before, so the church sent him to a therapist who said to keep him away from children.
He was allowed to say Mass, he was allowed to hear confessions, and then later went to these youth activities.
This should not have happened. The way it was handled back then is not the way we handle it now.
This is News Channel 5 at 10.
Dr. Joseph, these are serious questions. Why will you not answer these serious questions?
I will answer. I'm just not going to answer with your nonsense.
How far will Metro Schools director go to avoid answering questions about how his administration has investigated sexual harassment allegations?
Well, tonight you'll see for yourself. It was just 1 week ago that News Channel 5 Investigates first exposed a sexual harassment scandal inside Metro schools.
And tonight there are questions about Dr. Sean Joseph's role in those investigations.
But as our chief investigative reporter Phil Williams discovered, those were not questions the man in charge wanted to answer. Phil.
We first asked Dr. Joseph to sit down for an interview on these serious questions back on June 5th. That was more than 7 weeks ago. When he did not respond, we decided to go looking for answers. Dr. Joseph, can we ask you a couple of questions, please?
Not at the moment.
7 weeks after our first interview request, we caught up with Dr. Sean Joseph at the downtown library at a news conference where organizers announced he would be available to answer questions. But after Joseph spotted our camera, the Metro Schools director bolted for a back door, looking for another way out. Dr. Joseph, why will you not answer our questions, sir? Why will you not answer our questions?
I just don't have time at the moment. We can schedule a time to talk.
We've been asking for weeks for a time to talk. What?
Now's not the time, Mr. Williams.
We have been asking for weeks.
How are you doing?
The question is, how are you handling sexual harassment allegations in the district? Well, that's the important question.
Yeah. We'll find time to talk. I appreciate it.
We wanted to ask about the sexual harassment scandal surrounding Dr. Sam Braden, the executive principal of John F. Kennedy Middle School in Antioch. Our investigation discovered the district's own investigative files were filled with horrific allegations against Braden. Allegations of sexual harassment and inappropriate conduct stretching back months, including claims the principal hired a school employee from an adult bookstore he allegedly frequented. It wasn't until 2 days after our first report on Braden that the district finally placed him on administrative leave. We wanted to know what took so long.
I'm going to answer your question right now.
The fact that you put Dr. Braden on administrative leave, does that indicate that your office did not handle this well to begin with?
No, it doesn't mean that at all, my friend. We'll find time to talk. I appreciate it. I'm not going to talk about an open investigation.
Good evening. There are disturbing pictures showing the inside of a home where the Department of Children's Services placed a 2-year-old boy. 4 months later, he was dead.
And tonight, our investigative reporter Ben Hall reveals DCS ignored warnings from inside its own agency that the home wasn't safe.
He was definitely my photogenic baby. He loved having his pictures taken.
Rachel Green knows her son's short life was not easy.
He loved the softness, and he would not go to sleep without it.
She still has the blanket she knitted for Zephaniah and some of his favorite toys.
He was kind of the typical little 2-year-old with all the energy, running around.
But she's haunted by memories of the day the Department of Children's Services took him from her.
I have 3 kids. I was a single mom, and I started out young. I mean, I was trying to do the best that I could.
DCS had environmental concerns about the cleanliness of their home and feared the children weren't being bathed and fed properly. But it was an allegation that Zephaniah's brother may have been choked by an older kid that was the final straw.
They told me that they want to place the kids in a safety placement.
DCS said the children would be safer living at a relative's home in Warren County, and Green reluctantly agreed.
So one way or another, if I didn't do it willingly, they were going to do it anyway.
4 months later, little Zephaniah was dead. Photos from the investigation show the deplorable conditions inside the home where DCS placed the children. Dirty dishes piled high in the kitchen, unusable bathrooms and bedrooms, even drug paraphernalia.
I was horrified.
Attorney Robin Moore says the death was preventable.
There was just nothing safe about this home from the beginning, and they knew it. And that is what is so heartbreaking about this case.
Zephaniah died after he and his caregiver fell asleep in this recliner. When she woke up, she said Zephaniah was blue and unresponsive. His caregiver reenacted the scene for investigators using a doll. Zephaniah was pronounced dead at the hospital. Records state the caregiver appeared to be under the influence. She tested positive for meth and oxycodone, but was never charged. An autopsy could not determine a cause of death.
And not only place them there, but leave them there with a woman who is using street drugs is just unthinkable.
Unthinkable, Moore says, because DCS investigators were warned not to place children in the home. Records obtained by News Channel 5 Investigates reveal that prior to placing the children in the home, a DCS investigator in Warren County inspected the home and advised verbally and in writing that she did not find the home to be a safe placement for the children. She added, in Warren County, if children were found to be placed in such an environment, they would be removed.
A would-be nightmare for Metro Police, a pursuit and standoff through miles of interstates in the middle of rush hour. And tonight, Metro Police used a tactic to defuse the situation that we rarely get to see firsthand.
News Channel 5's Jason Lamb and our photojournalist Brian Hallett were in the right place at the right time with an exclusive look at how this chase came to a dramatic end.
It was a chase that started with police scrambling through the Germantown neighborhood and then onto the interstates circling the city. It ended with this crash here at the 2440 split by the Murfreesboro Road exit, with the driver in custody and the chase caught on our cameras. The pursuit first found us heading to a different story in the Germantown neighborhood. But notice Metro Police turn off their lights and siren. A tactic that originally had us confused. I don't get this. I don't either. They just stop. Maybe they've just... He's right there. Yeah, he's right there. The pursuit eventually made its way onto the interstate, heading east, caught in traffic, mostly without emergency lights. Sometimes with them. You see him? Yeah, he's still on the side of the road, but he's turned his lights off again. The chase made it down 24, close to the 440 split, where the driver sideswiped another car and wrecked on the side of the road.
He's just sitting there. I don't see his head.
A brief standoff began.
Driver, open the door and step out of the vehicle, please. We gotta help you out, all right? We don't want anything bad happen, all right?
Police would later tell us this was a suicidal man who they were trying to take to a hospital when he took off in the car. Police said the tactic they used of turning off their lights and sirens during the chase was meant to calm him down.
Driver, do me a favor. As you clear out the car, open the door and step out.
Police eventually approached the car and, with the scene safe, tried to get to the man. But the driver made it clear he didn't want to go anywhere. Eventually, police were able to get to the man, and they took him into custody on the side of the road as he still struggled with them. A rough but peaceful end to what could have been a much more violent situation, with hundreds of people passing by.
How you doing, man? What you want?
A row of barber chairs and volunteers line War Memorial Plaza.
I'm Chris. What's your name? DJ. Good to meet you, brother.
Chris Trobaugh is one of the Nashville street barbers.
Just the fact that I want to get back, it fulfills my soul coming out here, truly.
You see, you just don't get a cut when you sit down.
They're hiring out at my restaurant right now where I work at.
You get connection.
Yeah, you got some awesome hair, bro.
Conversation.
How's your day going? What you been up to all day?
And community.
It's hard to comprehend that somebody would care about me. You know, me of all people.
Charles Spann is exactly why the barbers work from daylight to dark every Monday evening.
People stand a bit taller when they have a fresh, clean haircut. People feel better about themselves with a fresh, clean haircut. So that's all we're trying to do.
The stylists even put on headlamps when the sun sets on the plaza. And through donations, they have other battery-powered equipment they can use outdoors.
We're doing everything in our power to just empower them, lift them up, make them feel good.
Yes. Got you, bro. My man.
It makes Mondays a lot better.
Jerry Wyndham! You're going to go to that handsome gentleman right there.
And there's always a waiting list. Sometimes it's 30 people deep before the barbers even get there.
They have kind hearts. They're angels to me.
They help inside and out.
It is, Charlie. Oh, yeah. You the man. You the man.
And no payment needed.
We get paid in handshakes and hugs, and that's all we ask for.
You are.
Give me a good handshake.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
There you go. Thank you, sir.
Amy Watson, News Channel 5.
Come on in.
Yes, dear.
There's usually a line out the door.
They say time is of the essence,
Y'all's green beans will be out shortly.
especially when business is hot.
Isn't that great?
It's another busy day at Puckett's.
There's always a wait list.
The restaurant has become a part of Amy Grace Dunsire's office.
Yeah.
She works for the restaurant's hospitality management company and is helping open a new location.
Always busy. Always busy.
Having a full plate is part of the job.
I'm a better multitasker than I think I am.
But in recent years, her plate is overflowing, whether that's in
There you go.
or out of the kitchen.
Hey, honey. Take a deep breath. Did I go down the wrong tube?
Yes.
Okay. Are you okay?
Yes.
Every single day,
She likes the food today.
she takes time out to tend to her mother, Joan, at a care facility.
You know, making sure that she's eating all her food and drinking enough water.
At 32 years old, Dunsire is the sole caregiver.
I'm all that she has. I have to advocate for her. I have to advocate for her well-being and her care. How's that taste? Good.
This has been her reality for more than 5 years, a reality her mother is forgetting.
You know who I am?
Yes.
What's my name?
I don't know.
You don't know my name?
No, I don't know.
Do I belong to you?
Yes.
Do you belong to me?
Yes.
Are we mother and daughter?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the outcome of battling moderate Alzheimer's. She can somewhat still read
Okay, what does that say?
7, 8.
Give me your hands.
and walk for now.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, up. There you go.
But the disease is stealing memory, time, and health.
You want to go to your left a little bit?
Joan was a NICU nurse for more than 35 years. As someone who protected and cared for people over the years, the roles have painstakingly reversed.
I think I tell my mom I love her. What does that say?
I love you.
About 10 times a day. All the staff and all of our sitters have said they're like, she knows exactly who you are, but she can't verbalize it.
What she can't say, she still manages to express.
Oh, are you smiling? Oh, because you know you're about to be famous?
No.
Yes.
Through her eyes and demure personality.
You like your hair curled?
Yeah.
Does it feel good?
Yes.
Is it relaxing?
Yeah.
Good. Are you saying yes to every single thing I ask you?
No.
More than half of all types of millennial caregivers do the job themselves, spending on average about 21 hours per week. For Dunsire, it's sometimes even higher.
It also has deterred me from living my life. A lot of my friends have gotten married and have had a kid and now are on their second kid, and I just don't have the time available to do that.
So really, it's like she has 2 full-time jobs.
It's the difficult task organizations like the Alzheimer's Association see every day. In Tennessee, there are about 120,000 people living with the disease. Experts equate that to under 500,000 caregivers.
A quarter of those are millennials. So if you do that math, it comes out to about 110,000 millennials that are caring for their parents or a loved one.
There you go. I'm right beside you, okay?
We're diagnosing this earlier and sooner. And so you're seeing these people being forced to step into a caregiver role at a younger age.
You have lasagna on your lips.
And then there's the emotional strain. Her mother isn't the first loved one to deal with the disease.
My dad was the funniest, sweetest, just full of life man.
Last year, Alzheimer's also claimed the life of her 86-year-old father, Ken. He was married to Joan for 56 years.
That says Ken. You know who Ken is?
No.
Ken is your husband.
Okay.
You remember Ken?
Yes.
Taking care of both of them full-time was taxing.
It gets frustrating, it gets tiresome being on all the time, but at the same time, who else is going to do it? And I really wouldn't want anybody else to do it.
But it's the sacrifice tens of thousands of caregivers like her make for their loved ones daily.
You
are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray.
Because each second together is an unbreakable moment.
Oh, I love you. Please hold my sunshine away.
When time has no way of slowing down, and memory is nothing but a fragile gift.
I can just say, okay, well, at least I have one more good day with my mom. Because good job. Tomorrow she could be gone. 1, 2, 3.
with photojournalist Catherine Stewart.
Okay, will I see you after your nap?
Matthew Torres, News Channel 5.
I love you. Okay, good night, Mama.